But let's get into the Pulsechain V4 testnet being up privately and waiting for bot and PulseX to be run deployed. This was from Richard Hart Win, if you guys haven't heard of him, at Richard Hart Win on Twitter, and then he showed some Matrix stuff. But what is your initial take on that, Brandon?
Yeah, so look, I think there's a likelihood than not chance, I'll put it that way, of the testnet version 4 being out sometime this week. So that's super, super good to see. I actually reached out to RH Max in Twitter DMs asking him what does he think about this kind of being the final testnet, and he assured me with 100% certainty that this is 100% the last testnet. So shout out to RH Max. Yeah. But speaking of RH Max, on a serious note, I like to poke fun at him because he doesn't like to give like definitive answers.
Let me just say, RH Max was the first influencer to have me on his channel, so we salute RH
Max.
That's awesome. Like and subscribe to his channel.
That's awesome. What a great guy. No, yeah, absolutely. But no, I had him on my channel recently, and one of the things he brought up, which is a really, really great point, which is he essentially mentioned a ton of things in which you can look at to try and gauge not just when testnet might be coming out, but when mainnet might be coming out. And he touched on a couple of technical things, like trying to see when websites are being registered, that kind of thing. But I think what the most important takeaway I found was when you see the liquidity pairs start to move with Hex. Because essentially we're getting a trickle of all these different updates with testnet, with mainnet, but we don't know which one of these updates is really the update that signals that, hey, mainnet is actually around the corner, unless Richard Hart literally tweets out, hey, you have 48 hours left, right? Mm-hmm. But what RH pointed out was that when you essentially see liquidity start to be removed from the Hex LPs, because there's essentially incentive to do so, because you'll be missing out on the copies for Pulsechain if you do not do so. So we're essentially likely to see liquidity being removed. And whenever we see any one of these updates trigger that liquidity removal, that's probably the update that signals that, we're probably close by. So I would be following the Hex LPs moving forward. And once we start to see a update from Richard Hart,
you're saying because they don't want to get harvested by the bot?
Yeah, where essentially you'll get more value, or the idea is at least that you'll get more value if you withdraw your LP and just get a 1-for-1 copy of eHex to pHex. The idea is that is essentially more valuable, and so that once we do get news, there's likely to be a financial incentive to withdraw LP, and so whatever news event triggers that withdrawn LP, that's the news event that kind of really says, hey, we're 48 hours away, we're a week away. That's the news event that kind of tells us that this is the real thing.
Okay, so how far do you think we are from the Pulsechain V4?
So, like I said, given when we saw these kinds of updates and changes to the GitLab and stuff, I would say within a week. Now, I've asked this question to both the Time team, the Internet Money guys, and the famous Fiat guys in regards to how long testnet should be once it's released. And they all said that, in speaking to their dev team, they would want like 3 months of testing. So basically 1 week, I would guess, within V4 launching. And then they said that they'd want their dev team said that they would want at least 3 months of testing, but who knows, Richard, if things are really kind of wrapped up and looking nice, it might be closer to a month. So a month to 3 of testnet version 4. That is if we don't get another testnet. That is if Richard doesn't decide to fork something else randomly. And then hopefully within a week we get the actual V4.
Okay, so we could say, so right now it's April 18th, so we could be looking maybe next week. We could be looking, well, it's already been up privately, so maybe we could be looking 4 or 5 days until V4, and then that means July mainnet, maybe June, July. Mainnet is what you're thinking?
Probably. And the summer historically has been a bullish time in the markets. So September is usually down, but June, July, August has typically been a bullish time. So if he releases during the summer, historically speaking. Crypto's done, and the traditional markets have done well during that time.
So we could have sort of instead of a DeFi summer, a Pulsechain
Pulsechain
summer,
summer.
an
Yeah.
RH summer, where like that is the story. When everyone talks about the upcoming bull market, historically speaking, people are going to say, when we open up the charts in a couple of years from now and we're trying to navigate the markets, we'd be saying that was the Pulsechain summer leading into the bull market for all other cryptos. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the like button and subscribe. For weekly meetings, courses, and to access my Discord, consider becoming a Patreon. If you're looking for a more personal experience, consider booking a one-on-one. All links are in the description.